Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another fall and winter week related video here by Agent of the Forecast. And in this video, we're going to be doing a who will see the snowiest winter forecast. Obviously, yesterday I did my preliminary winter forecast, so that means I'm going to be doing who will see the snowiest and then who will see the coldest winter, kind of just branching off that. But in this video, I decided to do the snowiest one, and then tomorrow, which will be the last day of the fall and winter week, since it will be August 7th, will be who will see the coldest winter. So sadly, this week is coming to an end. For those who don't know, today was my first day of school, so I am back to school, which is the reason why I am posting this so late in the evening. Obviously, I got home not too long ago, and obviously I had to make my map, so that's exactly why this video is coming out around 6 or 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I do apologize for that. But before we get into the video, I recommend you guys smash that subscribe button, as well as smash that like button and bell icon, so we can get this video on many others who are not subscribed to see this video on their recommended, so we can get more ideas and just overall people can find out more about what to possibly expect this winter. But without further ado, let's get and see who will see the snowiest winter as of now. And I accidentally forgot to actually pause the video, but that kind of blew up my suspense for the actual map by doing that. That was definitely not something I was planning on doing. But here's a look at just overall who I think will see the snowiest fall. Again, this is very super duper far out, so please do not take this map 100%. Take it with a grain of salt, because obviously this is going to be probably not close to being accurate. Obviously, I am looking at the overall Enzo forecast, looking at the monthly forecast, CFS, CanSIPs, overall looking at past year anomalies and comparing them, looking at the Pacific anomalies, the future anomalies, all that stuff, PNA, AO, and look, even though I look at all that, I can look at as much as I wanted in the world, and yet I will still be not even close to 100% accurate. So again, I'm going to have more videos like these as we get closer. This is a preliminary forecast for a reason. So again, like I said, please take this for a grain of salt, because I know a lot of people are like, too early, too early, too early. I know it's too early, but that's why it's called preliminary. But let's go ahead and get into the forecast. So, and the first thing we're going to be looking at is that light shade of purple, which you can kind of see it's pretty the largest region, obviously. And that's where I think we possibly see a slightly snowy winter. So basically what that basically means, for those who don't know really, is possibly a chance for slightly above average snowfall this year. So maybe anywhere from 2 to 5 inches above average. It really just depends on your location. For example, if you're in Georgia like me, there's very unlikely a chance you get 5+ inches above average, because the average isn't even 5 inches. So maybe that will, the lower ends, that's why I said 2 to 5, because maybe you get 2 inches above average, because some areas the average is 4. So there's obviously a reasonable chance that you can actually get 2 inches above average. But obviously when you go towards maybe Boston or Billings, there's obviously a greater chance you see a greater chance overall of beating your record, or beating your average, sorry, not record, beating your average by more than just 2 inches. It kind of just really depends on geography. I know they're obviously in the same color, but obviously snowfall in Georgia or Alabama is not the same as snowfall in Montana. I really hope that makes sense. So obviously looking at slightly above average snowfall there compared to your average from portions of the Sierras, definitely looking at maybe some good amount of good amount of troughs kind of setting up there with that high pressure sitting there in the Pacific. So definitely seeing maybe some good amounts of chances for that moisture frequently meeting with the cold air. So definitely a good chance for getting some good snow across that region. And obviously this kind of shape has to do with if this verifies, if the Northwest verifies, that'll obviously affect the rest of the map basically. So if this verifies the Northwest, and these storms become cross-country, it's obviously going to verify a lot more for these maps. So kind of this is the most important zone, even though it's not in the most above average. It's one of the most important zones, and that's going to obviously affect, if that verifies, it's going to really possibly verify or have a greater chance of verifying the rest. So obviously it's pretty common to predict winter storm tracks. It's obviously just to the east or to average general regions. So that kind of gives you a better idea, and obviously I'll explain more of that later on, but so yeah, if you're in the light purple, looking at maybe a small, again, it's taste for a grain of salt. It could obviously change, but as of now, I think you guys can possibly get a slightly above average snowfall. And that kind of, I don't even know what color that is, but the second shade, obviously further to the north, that's where I think we can definitely see further above average snowfall compared to your average. So let's say maybe a chance for 10 plus inches above average, or maybe even a larger amount, maybe 15 plus inches above average. So for example, let's say, I believe the average in Syracuse, which is, I think Syracuse is considered the snowiest city in America, which is obviously not true because the Sierras get like over 500 inches a year. But I guess you could say they're the snowiest big urban city, which I think they get like, what, 130, 133? I'm really not 100% sure. But let's say Syracuse gets 133 every single year, or every winter, basically. Then there's maybe a chance, based on this map, they get 140, or not, sorry, not 140, maybe near 150. Maybe around that 150 range, obviously. So it's going to be a better chance overall with more frequent cold fronts, more frequent and possibly any easterly winds. We could definitely get a lot of lake effect snow in that region specifically, but overall you see another large area of that moderately above average. That's going to be for the Dakotas, and obviously, like I did say, back to verifying, if the Northwest here verifies quite snowy and cold in the late fall, early winter. And obviously, where are they going to go? They're going to go to the east. They're going to go due east, be east, north, east, southeast, or just due southeast. So obviously, that's going to aim a large region for this whole outline, basically, if we see some low pressures kind of go that way. So it's going to allow for some really good amount of snow, especially if, obviously, the ridge is stronger like that. Obviously, you're seeing that nice cold air associated with the high pressure overall. So it's just going to be pretty good overall to see a widespread amount of moderately above average snowfall. And that's going to go all the way up to portions in the northeast. Not only does that have to obviously be in effect with the lake effect, but obviously, of course, maybe with some significant nor'easters. And the reason why I actually have not coastal New England in that second shade of moderately above average, because I do believe we're not going to be seeing what we saw last year with Gale. I mean, Gale is definitely basically historic in some areas. I believe we're going to be seeing a lot of low pressures that kind of go up the East Coast and obviously bring in some nice amount of snow. But I feel that's going to be more of an inland threat instead of a New York City, Long Island, Providence, and Cape Cod. Obviously, it doesn't mean we're not going to get snow there. That's exactly why they're in the first shade, but I think more watching out for the inland regions. I forgot what we saw. I think there was a snowstorm, a nor'easter, in like, I forgot when. I think it was before Gale. And it brought like 3 feet in upper New England and like nothing for the northeast, coastal northeast. I think that could definitely be something that we can watch out for this, mainly the late winter season, possibly February and March. And as well, February, March, as well, going to be watching out for maybe some significant blizzards, which are very common across this region, across the western Midwest. We can definitely see some good amount of snow there near Rapid City, North Platte, portions of there, Jasper, no, that's not Jasper, sorry, Cheyenne, Gillette, and that general region. As well, for those who have been waiting this for quite a while, where do I think as of now, we will be seeing the most snow compared to your average? And this is a highlight. For those who don't see it, this is my highlights for who I think will be seeing the snowiest winter. This is kind of a good outline. You can kind of see it includes more of the Midwest and portions of the Great Lakes. So again, I do believe some cold fronts are going to be very frequent across this general region, across the Great Lakes. Possibly a few clippers. Can't be ruled out the possibility. But yeah, definitely keeping a very close eye on that general region. Because here was a look here at my winter temperature outlook. You can kind of see really focused across portions of the Great Lakes, possibly some really strong Arctic blasts, frequent Arctic blasts, and obviously if we go to my moisture forecast, we're going to be seeing a lot of moisture there. So we'll see a lot of moisture being kind of stationary, and that really nice Arctic blast kind of coming from the west. It's bound to see not only snowstorms kind of develop from this way, but obviously we can't forget about the storms that originate in the west. So overall, all the arrows are pointing out to this general region, and obviously they're going to move kind of in this general direction. That's actually why I kind of have that going all the way up near Lake Huron, and actually obviously that also is an effect because of lake effect, And then last but not least, looking at the areas where I have below average snowfall, and that's going to be across much of the deep south, specifically the southwest. You can kind of see it kind of narrows as we go into the southeast, and even some purples in the southeast, because I do believe obviously there's a better chance for actually some decent cold fronts. And obviously here to look at my temperature outlook again, you can kind of see I do have some slightly below average there across portions of the southeast, and a little bit, obviously they're not really in the actual moisture itself. However, again, if we do maybe see a little, maybe actually maybe a 2-3 day time period where we actually see some good amount of Gulf moisture in that Pacific jet further south, it only takes 2 or 3 days to get a good setup like that. You can get some snow as well. A pretty good setup. Does not have to last 4 months for it to actually see a decent setup for that. And it's exactly why I do have them slightly above average there across Georgia, because obviously the average is not much. It really won't take much to beat slightly above average. Same goes for Arkansas, same goes for Alabama, Mississippi, and the Carolinas. And then back to the slightly below average, you kind of see it really narrows across southeast Georgia, because like I just said, I do think there's a chance that we can see some decent cold front kind of moving down to the deep southeast, maybe once or twice, possibly a month. And that's why it's so thin here, and a pretty large gap with an average, but not the case there for the southwest. So you can kind of see it just slightly rises. It's not going to be, don't see anything concerning or even signs hinting towards cold fronts being that frequent across this region of the western United States. And that's why I obviously see them in a pretty big, large yellow region for slightly below average, and obviously because as well overall moisture is going to be a very uncommon thing that I'm really looking for, just considering the actual Pacific jet being far north. Kind of the Pacific jet would kind of be setting up far like this, with like the actual Rossby wave and overall ridge kind of setting up like down here and then going up. So it's going to kind of really bring in some stormy weather across all of this area, and then obviously not much precipitation for specifically the southwest, but obviously again for a portion of the Gulf of Mexico and southeast, but that would be less significant. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.